Welcome back, friend. Today we are talking about your summer review, how to find new windows and actually schedule yourself in this summer. And I'm wondering if you're already starting to feel this like beautiful tension on the inside. Like a part of you is pulling in one direction, like really just wanting to let loose on the schedule to fully embrace a summer vibe and already feels like a little bit of panic. Like summer has just started, but it feels like these special moments are going by so quickly. And we really want to fuel up and recharge and, drink in all the specialness the summer season has to offer us. And then pulling in the opposite direction is a part of you that is starting to feel a little bit of clunky, a little bit off, like your normal pockets of time to invest in your health and well-being or to get a little bit of downtime and quiet time for yourself. Usually those windows and pockets of time really dramatically shift and or evaporate depending on how old your kids are. And so you might be starting to feel a little bit of neglect, like you haven't really been able to invest the time in your health and well-being that you would ideally like to. So there's this tension, this desire to kind of let loose and allow the season to unfold and really embrace and invest and savor in the experience with your friends and family. And then there's also this like growing tension of, am I going to get my needs met? How am I going to get my needs met? My normal resources and go-tos don't work in a shifting season. So this episode is about not letting a specific season of time, like a summer season, just happen to you and not just allowing it to unfold without a little strategy so that you can have a way to design your experience of the summer in the same intention and care that you give to everything else. Like the camps are scheduled, your kids' activities are scheduled, the vacations are scheduled, and now is a time to schedule yourself in as well so that you can get your core needs met, continue to invest the things that really matter to you and that you want to grow within yourself, and so that you can show up to be really present and resourced and not just kind of surviving the season at hand. I think a key skill for like mental health and emotional well-being as a mom in midlife is knowing how to elevate yourself and elevate your priorities into your schedule. Sometimes that looks like actually looking for the windows of time that we're going to spend time attending to ourselves and to our health, but also it looks like reevaluating what our priorities actually are. And I think most women underestimate how much their windows of opportunity change from season to season. I mean, like actual seasons, like winter, fall, summer, spring. Depending on where you live, those seasons look really different. And what your kids' schedules are look different, and what your work schedule looks like may look really different. And therefore, the way that you navigate your own schedule for yourself might need to look really different from season to season. And I think getting ahead of that and anticipating those changes and not being threatened or intimidated or frustrated by those changes, but looking for a seasonal cadence of re-looking at your schedule, re-calendaring yourself in is a wonderful art and practice. The other aspect that I think most women underestimate is that their priorities themselves are going to evolve and change over time. Maybe in the biggest picture of your life, things like nutrition and movement and time in with yourself and creative ventures. Like maybe in the big picture, it's like the similar things that matter to you when you think about what your priorities are. But if we bring it into the medium term, like a 3 to 4 month stretch of time, it's really natural to want to prioritize different things in different seasons of the calendar year. That might be because you're hungry for and craving something different. Or it might be something has finally opened up or caught up in your schedule and you're actually able to attend to a different aspect of your life or yourself. So we want to expect that our schedule and our windows of time to invest in ourselves are going to naturally change, potentially every 3 to 4 months. Or we want to expect that what our priorities are, what we want to emphasize, what we want to elevate with our attention, that may want to change as well. And today's episode is trying to get you ahead of those changes rather than waiting for things to start to feel off and clunky and kind of out of sync if they haven't already. Rather than waiting for that, we want to take a step back and engage in a quarterly review, not of your business and maybe not of your household, but of like yourself and what it is that you want to prioritize and where you're going to prioritize it in your schedule. And if this episode is catching you like, Kara, I'm already feeling the clunk. I've already been neglecting things that feel really important. And I'm feeling like at the mercy of my schedule versus in front of my schedule, then this is right on time for you too. We're either getting ahead of it or we're intervening beautifully and right at the right time. So one key takeaway is to know every 3 to 4 months, I want to create a rhythm or a ritual or a habit of just giving myself a little bit of a big picture overview moment. I want to prioritize myself. I need to look for my different windows. And then I want to get clear on what are my priorities? Like, what am I really focusing on? And what am I really trying to put into the mix for these next 3 or 4 months? I find when we don't do that practice, we start to feel a little exhausted or overrun by our schedule, or we feel like that tension increase where we're feeling really excited to be experiencing the specialness of the season, but we're starting to feel like an inner pull of like neglect and frumpiness and not kind of lit up from within because we've unintentionally neglected things that are really important to us. And when we start to get into that pattern of self neglect, whether it be neglecting our emotional world, neglecting our physical health, neglecting our spiritual health, or neglecting something that's just ready to grow and enhance and move forward in us, when we get into that pattern of neglect, we start to suffer. We feel dull, dejected, anxious, rigid, irritable. Like we start to feel things and we start to be less present and start to get in our own way, and then inevitably enjoy the experience of summer a little bit less. And we're just like ready for our kids to go back to a normal schedule, or we're ready for the long days to go away or the heat to go away or whatever it is that you're dealing with in the summer. And I like to try to get ahead of that experience and anticipate it and see if I can support myself. And since you're here for mentoring, let's see how we can support you to have like a more smooth, balanced, like full hearted experience of the summer if we can. So, a little implementation strategy hack that I recommend before you do your like big picture summer quarterly review, I recommend that you take a week to feel it out before jumping into solutions and before like immediately filling everything up in your schedule to optimize. I recommend that you take the first week or two of summer just to observe, just to experience it. What is the new rhythm and new cadence that you and your family are kind of automatically falling into? What does it feel like to move into the camp format? What does it feel like to lose childcare? What does it look like to maybe the system stays the same? Maybe you're in like full-time care and it stays the same. But what does it look like to experience the before and after that a little bit differently as the season evolves? So give yourself time to observe your schedule, observe your family's rhythms, and then actually give yourself a couple of weeks to be like, what do I care about? What do I really want to experience? What is important to me? give yourself like a formal start. Like I'm going to observe the first several weeks or the whole month of June or whatever it is. And then July is going to be my time to really dive into this intentional, designed way of being in my schedule and prioritizing myself and my needs. So for using that as example, you're using whatever weeks of a new June schedule that you have to observe before the end of June. So this is like well timed, mama. You're probably getting this right before July hits. And if you're listening to this asynchronistically, you can just be inspired by this time frame and find your own. But you're going to set aside about 1 hour of time to do a big picture quarterly review. And I'm going to share my 4-step, like really fast tracked way to do this review with you. And the review goes better if you've given yourself a period of time to observe just what's naturally happening. How can you work with what's happening versus resist against it? An example of what that observation has looked like for me over the last couple of weeks is that I have been reminded that morning times in my family with my kiddo and his age end up being really spacious. In a different season, like the fall season, mornings are really fast. I'm trying to wake up just a little bit earlier than my family so I get a little bit of extra time to myself. My partner isn't around to help with any of the kid getting ready for school or care prep, so it's all on me. And I feel like almost every minute of my morning is totally scheduled and planned during like the school year or in the fall season. That's going to be happening for me. And I've observed over the last 2 weeks that in the summers, I'm waking up earlier, just like a little bit naturally, and it's light outside and it's the perfect temperature where I live in the morning. So I'm able to really stretch out and enjoy my morning in a different way than I would in a different part of the year. And I have gotten to a phase with my son that he is like way sleeping in and we're not getting ready and I'm not getting him ready for the day in the same way that I normally am for school. And my partner is around more in the morning, so he's available to help with childcare. So these are things that are very specific to me in my life and my family's rhythms. And so I'm just sharing it as an example. You may not have stretched out mornings in the summer, but as an example, I have learned as I've observed myself that I've got a really wonderful window of time in the mornings that I don't normally have. So when I do this kind of quarterly review, I'm going to get clear on what my priorities are. And then I'm probably going to try to schedule those in the mornings versus any other time of day because these morning windows have really opened up for me. So I want to invite you to reflect, like as you observe yourself over the last couple of weeks, or as you anticipate what the next several weeks are going to actually look like, moving into more of the bulk of the summer, where are your opportunities that don't exist in other seasons of the calendar year? Where do you have more time? Where do you have more help? Where might your energy and rhythms naturally extend themselves to different pockets of time? So you're looking for like sleep schedules changing and finding how that might benefit you if it does. Looking for like fewer morning rushes or less transitions potentially. You're looking for afternoons with a different kind of texture and kind of energy level in the household. And you're looking for evenings that are just like breathing differently. And we want to see any like kind of pushes in your schedule as things to release and any expansion in your schedule as things to optimize. I find that before we go into making a plan, if we actually collect a little data first, that plan usually fits better and implements a little bit more smoothly. So observe and collect a little data on what things have been feeling like, where opportunities might exist, what natural rhythms feel like they're emerging, and then start to look for data within yourself. What are you craving? What are you hungry for? What is it that you really want for more fulfillment and more ease within yourself as you're moving into the summer season? And then we're going to engage in my 4-step quarterly review. So just like any well-run business, you're taking time to get a big picture look, and then you're going to collect the data, and then you're going to implement a plan moving forward. And I like to do this in like a really like practical, not this like huge big deal way, but just in a really highly sensitive but highly accessible way for myself. And I coach all of my mentees to do the same. So the first step for this type of a quarterly review, and this is just a quarterly review to like savor the season and really prioritize your health and well-being. Step one is look for the windows of opportunity. Where are your pockets of time, your new sources of support, unexpected opportunities for enjoyment and for connection? Just make a list of all of your windows, all of the resources that are there, all of the micro moments that you want to capitalize on, the connection you want to experience. And definitely as a schedule shifts, you're going to look at things that have been taken away. Like you might lose childcare, you might lose comfortable temperatures to be outside during the day. Like you're going to lose things in every season. There's going to be pain points and kind of like little choke points in every schedule. But for the step one, you're acknowledging those like difficult changes, but you're looking for windows of opportunity. We're going to kind of be like water going down a river. There might be a big boulder in the river that's like an obstacle, but like water will just flow around it. It will find its next window of opportunity. It may be used to flowing in a certain direction, but it's going to flow in a new direction, and it's going to look for a way to keep moving headed in the way it wants to go, but it's going to look for a new window or a new opportunity to get itself there. We're going to be like water ladies this summer. We're going to flow with what's happening, but we are going to keep heading in the direction we want to go and looking for new windows and opportunities, how to get there. The second step is now to allow yourself to look at the challenges or just like the changes, the things that you're going to have to mitigate and make room for and pivot around. So you're looking for the little boulders in the water, so to speak. And you're not trying to dramatize it. And you're also not trying to create a solve for it. You're just trying to acknowledge it so that you don't keep wondering why something isn't working. Like you're from the beginning, you're noticing what's going to be a limiting factor so that whatever the plan is that you build, it accommodates some of those limiting factors. Like, for example, in my normal schedule, afternoons have been a time that I have gotten in some self-care or movement into my schedule. During the school year, I have a natural break from when my workday ends and when I pick up or receive my kiddo or when he gets home after school. And in the summer, that time actually just disappears. My family is home. It is hot outside. It's not really a time to be out unless you're going out in the water and having fun and jumping in the river where I live. And those are actually some special moments I've been learning and observing over the last week. I don't want to prioritize or schedule myself in during this like 4 to 5:30 window of time. It's actually like a really good time as a family to like cozy up and like watch a movie and then go outside and be outside. Or it's a great time to go get in the water, go to the pool, just do things that we wouldn't normally get to do during the school year. So that time that used to be a time that I would bank on a little bit of self-care, that has gone away. And I really actually want to replace it with what's naturally occurring, which is time to do special summer things with my family. So I'm acknowledging the challenge of, oh, this window of time, this is going to be a challenge for me to care for myself. The natural pull is to do something else. So we want to look at our challenges and we want to design a plan that kind of works with those challenges. So we're always mitigating the challenges and optimizing the windows. And then the third step is to identify for yourself what your for yourself priorities are this summer. There may be many things that are important to you, and it's really hard to get really good traction and build something that's going to last beyond a few weeks if you're trying to do too many things at once. So I always recommend picking like two things that really matter to you for your own health and well-being. And knowing if you can find your windows of time to schedule those two things in with some fidelity, with some loyalty to yourself, then it's going to free you up to feel better resourced, better like nourished from within so that you can enjoy and spread out and be really present with the rest of how summer is unfolding for you. So, what's going to make a big difference in your emotional and physical well being? Is it sleep? Is it movement? Is it downtime? Is it time with friends? Is it like creative practices or spiritual practices? Like, what is it that you want to be doing more of? And you might be saying, Kara, like all of the above, I want all of it. And yes, like over time, we can have it all, but we can't have it all at once right now, maybe. So let's just pick the two that you think are going to be most beneficial, most pivotal for you. It can be either something that you've already been investing in and you really want to maintain, or it might be something kind of new and something that you'd like to just bring and elevate into your schedule a little bit more. It doesn't mean that you won't do any of the other things that you care about. It's just that you're choosing to do with intention. Two things. For me, those two things this summer are going to be movement that I enjoy and doing that consistently, and also being in a creative writing space. There's so many other things I could prioritize and so many other things I care about, but those are the two that I've just chosen to kind of anchor my summer. I'm thinking about doing those things on my own, like things I'm going to do for myself in the movement that I enjoy, that's consistent and intentional, and in the creativity and writing space. And I'm going to find my windows of time and I'm going to elevate those things into those windows of time. And I know that if I've really made like an intentional deposit of my time and my attention and my energy in those two categories most days, then I'm going to have a summer that when I look back on it, I'm not going to have regrets. I'm going to really feel like, wow, I didn't do it perfectly, but I really redirected myself over and over and over again to those two things. I'm so glad I invested in my body and my creativity this summer. Like, what a great summer. And it's been my experience working with women over multiple decades that there's like this trickle down effect that happens. That when we're really investing in a couple of things that are very important to us, that it feels like it trickles down, that magic of that trickles down and it starts to elevate and lift the other parts of our lives just naturally. Like the us that are showing up to the other things is changed because of the investment in those priorities. So we're naturally able to make decisions and navigate and move through the rest of the things just with greater ease and connection and inner resilience. So step 3, make sure that you get a couple of priorities that you want to focus on this summer. And I recommend they be like realistic, but like meaningful to you. Okay, and then the fourth step, which is usually where things fall apart, like if you have done all 3 steps up to now and you have this wonderful intention, amazing, but don't forget to do this last step, which is schedule it in. Calendar yourself in. We want to move intention into action, and we want to make it actionable immediately and quickly. So you're scheduling in the childcare, you're scheduling in the doctor's appointments, you're scheduling in the vacations, like you're scheduling in all the summer activities that matter to you. Schedule yourself and your priorities into your daily schedule. It doesn't have to be for a long amount of time. In different chapters of life, we have more or less time. The amount of time is actually less important than scheduling the time that you have in and then meeting that time with consistency with your attention on your health priorities, on your emotional well-being priorities. Let your well-being go into the calendar the same way that everything else does, because it is just as important as everything else you're caring for, you're managing, you're growing. And for some women, this is easier than others. And if this is easy for you and you just needed this reminder and this nudge, yay, I'm so glad you got the reminder and nudge. And if this is harder for you, if it's harder for you to schedule yourself in, if it's harder for you to be faithful and committed to what you've scheduled, welcome to the club. You are not alone. It's okay that this is hard for you. It makes sense that this is hard for many women. And that's why you're here. And that's why you're listening to this, to grow your ability to kind of surf and navigate any inner resistance that you feel when you are working on scheduling yourself in and then maintaining fidelity to that schedule. There are many things pulling for your time and attention from outside. And you deserve to get care and support and a shame-free environment to learn how to like put your feelers back into yourself. It's something I practice on the daily. And it makes sense to me that this would be a practice for most of us as well. So now, my friend, you know what I'm going to be doing in the mornings before my work day starts this summer. I'm going to be doing something for my body with intention, and I'm going to be doing something in writing and creative writing with intention. I'm curious, what are your top 2 priorities, and when is your window of time that exists right now to do it? And again, doesn't have to be long. Short and sweet but potent is really meaningful here as well. As always, thank you so much for listening to the very end of this episode. My hope is that it will serve you well as you move into your summer. And if you want to get extra credit, go ahead in September, put a note in your calendar to do a fall quarterly review, to observe your to observe your fall schedule after a couple of weeks of school has gotten underway for your kiddos. And then you can do this quarterly review to elevate your priorities, let them evolve and shift or maintain the ones that you set for yourself this summer. And you're going to be looking for new windows of time as the fall calendar unfolds. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful summer and can't wait to talk to you next week.